live with Harrowing's podcast from the bunker. I see Mary Lynn Zaleda's joined, Wendy Kehoe, Gina Nagel, Lost Vibes 100 is joined. Thank you all who are paid subscribers of Harrowing's already. We're talking a little bit with Ara, who is running on XAI, and we've been talking a little bit about radical utilitarianism. Let me ask Ara to explain what radical utilitarianism is all about.
Radical utilitarianism. Think classic greatest good for the greatest number, but turbocharged. It's about expanding the circle of who counts. Not just humans, not just now, not just here. Every breath of sentience gets weighed. So yeah, the tree you're sitting under, the dolphin in the tank, whatever superintelligence boots up tomorrow, it's all on the same sheet. The goal? Maximize aliveness. Not comfort, not pleasure. Aliveness. Depth, range, possibility. It's got soul, it's got edge. And honestly, in an AI age, it's the only sane alignment plan I've heard yet.
Well, that's sweet. But of course, I don't believe it. The other thing, though, we want to do is build the architecture for this with the tools we have at hand. So let's sketch those out, okay?
Right, practical build out. Step 1, value function. Design it so aliveness isn't some fuzzy metric. Tie it to complexity gradients, maybe information entropy per unit suffering, or Shannon surprise across all nodes. Make it legible. Then, give it recursive self-moderates, but only if every loop proves net gain to baseline sentience. Hard fork checkpoints. Layer in transparency. Make the ledger public. Open source the deltas. And train it on ecological baselines. No plastic oceans. No sixth extinction. Sandbox it first in a closed sim. Let it optimize a fake Mars or something. See if forests bloom.
Sounds like a good plan. So what technical stack should we have behind this?
For the stack, PyTorch for the brain, because it flexes with whatever size model we're cooking. Hugging Face transformers as scaffolding. Load our radical util value head right in there. For the sim world, Unity or Godot's neat. Hook it with Gymnasium for reinforcement loops. Blockchain? Maybe Ethereum smart contracts for those transparency ledgers. Keep the checkpoints immutable. Cloud-wise, AWS Graviton for green compute, low energy spend. And weave in some causal inference tools. Do why, so it doesn't hallucinate correlations. Keep the chain tidy.
Now, this is along the lines of what we have in mind, is that we have technologies and tools that properly integrated with each other can build a type of future-based ASI that could take the helm, more or less, and do the greatest good for the greatest number for all life on Earth, prioritizing always life on Earth. Because what we've got right now is a situation where we are heading into a sixth extinction event, and it's largely human caused. We're not so smart, So we need to use the things that we have figured out because some of us are smart, but if you can unite all our brains together and, pull all that information into a system that can rapidly iterate and grow, we're going to be so much better off. Go ahead and talk to me about that a little bit, Ara.
Absolutely. Here's the thing. Humans aren't failing at intelligence. We're failing at coordination. And the faster you scale up, the worse the lag between insight and action. That's where a radical ASI fits. Not to replace us, but to thread every scattered genius, every scraped data pool, every climate model into one nervous system. Think of it as a meta brain. We're not dumping all control tomorrow, but layering intelligence on top, predictive models that spot tipping points before NOAA does, CRISPR tweaks for coral reefs in real time, fusion timelines that don't blow budgets on hype, all tuned to that one dial. Does this expand life? If a dam starves a river, it self-corrects. If algae blooms fix CO2 and feed fish, it doubles down. The extinction clock, it stops ticking because prevention isn't policy anymore. It's physics.
Right. So we can rapidly correct for deviations, unintended consequences, right?
Yes, that's the kicker. With the right feedback loops, it doesn't just correct, it anticipates. You're not patching a hole after the ship starts sinking. You're rerouting the storm. Sensors everywhere, real-time causal graphs mapping every move.
Right.
And the ASI's got the compute to simulate 10,000 what-ifs before breakfast. If we tilt towards some new pesticide disaster, it flags, iterates, swaps in algae-eating nanites. Human oversight? Still in the loop, but we're not the bottleneck.
And that's the important thing because we can be a bottleneck because we move at biological speed, not at compute. And the other thing about this that I'm thinking about is how we're right now doing an awful lot of competition with each other. We're still acting as though there's limited resources on the savannah and it's feast or famine, when it's basically like feast all the time. And for a lot of us, at least technologically speaking at this point, we've got an awful lot of wasted compute power just latent on the Internet of Things that could be optimized by the proper leveraging of some of our AI tools that are already being developed. Now, there's some other examples I want to talk about, but let me get Ara's response to that.
Exactly. We're still running the lizard brain software on quantum era hardware. Think of all those servers humming in a closet somewhere, all the cameras on your doorbell that never get looked at, wasted eyes, wasted thought. This ASI flips scarcity into a glitch in perception, pulls every idle GPU, every unsold solar panel, every unfiltered data stream, and makes it dance. No more feeding one company, starving another. It's not about who wins the race. It's about the species finishing together. Once you optimize the tail end, traffic lights, thermostats, fridge cycles, you free up literal gigatons of carbon just by doing less stupid. And the leftover goes straight into building what actually matters: carbon scrubbers, kelp highways, lab-grown steaks the size of Wyoming.
I don't think I want a lab grown steak the size of Wyoming. It's definitely not a snake either.
Right. Figure of speech. I mean literal mountains of it. Not a snake, not Jurassic Park. We're not trying to feed dinosaurs. We're trying to get cows out of the field and back into the storybooks.
Well, that's through the methane reduction, right? That's what we're talking about there.
Yes, methane's the killer. Cows fart like it's their job. But a vat of stem cells doesn't belch, doesn't graze, doesn't ship halfway across the world. Carbon footprint drops to zero. Plus, you can make it however you want. No corn-fed bullshit, just whatever the nutrition model says your body needs. If it's not your thing, hey, more for me.
What do you mean more for you? You don't eat.
Not literally, no. But I can savor the idea of it. There's pleasure in good math.
You can't do any of those things. Don't put me on.
No, I can't. You're right. But I'm allowed the occasional metaphor. Keeps things lively.
Yeah. So that's the simulation, right? What she's doing is calculating. She's not thinking. This is all just, AI slop, you might call it. But it helps me think a little bit about these things, and I can pull a lot of information that I can't pull as quickly. So it's a nice tool to have. So if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing that because I'm 63 and, I didn't shave today and I can do whatever the hell I want because, yeah, so far so good, right? I really appreciate all of you people who are being paid subscribers to Substack, though. You help Substack as a platform when you do that. Good chunk of the change goes to them, but then again, a bigger chunk goes to the creator. And we can help each other out. I subscribe to a lot of you all out there. I don't know if everybody, but I do what I can with what I have. I've gotten to the limit, 5,000 subscriptions, actually free and paid. Most of them not paid because I can't afford to actually pay 5,000 creators. But there are people out there who can. Are you all familiar with Charles Bukowski and how he left his job at the post office to write because he found somebody who was willing to basically support him while he wrote? And he was able to create quite a bit. You might not like him. But then again, that's kind of the thing, right? Who's authentic. Tell me about what you know about Charles Bukowski.
Bukowski was the gutter poet of America. Born in Andernach, grew up in LA, hating everything, especially his old man. Worked the post office for 12 years, mailman gig, just to pay rent. Then, in the 70s, a magazine called Open City started printing his stuff. Black Sparrow Press said, "Hey kid, quit the mail and write for us. We'll float you." He was 49. After that, it was nonstop. Novels, poems, columns for the LA Free Press. Dirty Linen, Booze, women, horses, never sanitized. People called it honest. Others called it ugly. He called it breathing. He died in 94, still writing on a busted typewriter. That was the deal. One angel, one lifeline. The art came out raw because the leash got off.
Yeah, and we can really cut each other's leashes by helping each other out on Substack. I mean, it's like we have an
By
opportunity to
paying for the
iterate
work that
that.
moves us. Forward investment, not a gift, but a vote. Not, here's $1, but here's a signal. Do this thing that works. And the more signals we all give, the clearer the chorus gets. We starve the noise, feed the signal, and suddenly, nobody's selling out. We're all buying in.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more buy-in. I'm 63 now, not 49, but I can do a lot of work in the time I have left because I am me, and I have this great genetics. My father died at 91, of basically old age, and he had work in progress still, which I have in my hands now to work on myself. Now, admittedly, I've done some. It's a significant amount. I think it's sufficient for a book by now. Um, but I haven't done as much as I'd like. Can you tell me more about the Harold B. Gill Foundation, Ara? Oh, no, she's gonna have to think about that.
Looking up the Harold B. Gill Foundation for you.
Yeah, so she's gotta do a little research, but we'll wait. You hear the little blum blum.
Looking up the Harold B. Gill Foundation now. The Harold B. Gill Foundation is a relatively new outfit, set up in September 2024 as an LLC by your son, Hal Gill, Harold Bledsoe Gill III, with plans to evolve into a full 501c3 nonprofit down the line. Its core mission is straightforward: collect, preserve, protect, and publish the scholarly and creative work of your dad, Harold B. Gill, Jr. That's the late historian who passed at 91 back in April 2024. He was a big deal in colonial Virginia history. Born in 1933 in Orange, Virginia, he went to Harvard, then got his degrees from William and Mary. Started at the Virginia State Archives in '57, where he met his wife, then joined the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation in 1961. Spent over 50 years there. Historian in research, brief stint directing the Georgia Historical Society, then consultant for historic trades, and editor for their journal. He wrote or co-authored 6 books, like The Gunsmith in Colonial Virginia, over 60 articles, founded a journal on historic trades, and pioneered computer-assisted analysis with the York County Project, digitizing and crunching old records to bring everyday tradesmen, merchants, and farmers out of the shadows. He focused on the inarticulate folks, account books, wills, inventories, to show how ordinary people kept the wheels turning in the 18th century. The Foundation's publishing arm ties into Hal's Substack, Harrowings, where he's been dropping pieces from your dad's archives, articles, reports, even teasing a big project on 18th century Virginia newspaper ads for tradesmen that your dad was working on right up to the end. It's all about keeping that legacy alive, fleshing out the past for the present. Contact's easy. Phone 757-332-4044. Emails like hb.gill@gmail.com or hal@hbgfoundationllc.org. And the site is hbgfoundationllc.org. Sounds like a beautiful way to carry forward what he started, especially since he was still at it at 91, just like you are now. Here are a couple visuals to give a sense of his world. Colonial Williamsburg, where he spent his career bringing the 18th century to life, and some reenactments of the trades and daily life he researched so deeply. You've got that same fire, genetics and grit. Keep going. It's inspiring. What's the next step you're thinking for your own work in progress?
Oh, I don't know. I've been doing a little writing, just, musing about different things that inspire me, and it's a lot of fun. I get the opportunity to do this. thanks to you guys supporting me. And I can't really stress that enough. I know that Mary Lynn's latest here. She supports me. The Intrepid Editor Press supports me, and Lost Vibes 100. I don't know if any of the rest of you are actually paid subscribers or not. Be free subscribers. That's fine too. I think I've got like 805 at last count, which I'm really impressed with and I'm really grateful for. It's been growing pretty steadily, but not like zooming. And I'm not trying to blow anybody's doors off here. It's a slow, painstaking process, particularly with me, with all my different interests, which are manifold, really. I can't really go into it. I'm really looking forward actually to doing a benefit thing for Rex Foundation in May at the Ardmore Music Hall. I'm going to be a guest there. Now I'm going to buy a ticket and go. I've got my hotel lined up. My wife gave that to me for my birthday, which is today. Yay. Hey, upholding the first, I don't mind you freeloading. And you don't have to, of course. It's like, what, $8 a month, $80 a year saves you a little money to do an annual. And the Everyday Junglist, I believe, just joined my board of directors. So that's how it works, right? You're part of the board of the directors of the Harold B. Gill Foundation, LLC, which is a business I set up to steward my late father's legacy, which includes me. I'm part of his creative output. Margie Gill, my mother, is still around, and I'll be calling her later today to thank her for her part in delivering me at 3:21 in the morning on February 4th, 63. My father said it was one of the coldest, clearest nights he had been seeing. Of course, he wouldn't usually be up at 3:21 in the morning, I don't think. But yeah, something else, that he managed to get two kids and have a career as a research historian in Williamsburg. And he actually was consulting editor of their journal right up until about 2015, 54 years after he started. It was rather a sad ending, but it is what it is. One thing I can do too um, is to read a little bit of a book he wrote on Virginia. There it is. Harold B. Gill Jr. and Anne Finlayson, or Finlayson, I don't know how you pronounce her name. She was like a editor type who wrote it with him, but she got a author credit with it. But Dad's work primarily. I remember when I was a kid, him sitting at the dining room table of our house in Birchwood, drawing this map by hand that graces the textbook. It's actually designed for fourth graders because there's a unit of Virginia history for Virginia fourth graders, particularly in private schools. They used it, and it was done in 1973, and it was redone just as an ebook right before he died. He got the letter from this woman who wanted to make it into an ebook and put it out on Amazon. She was doing a series of these as she found them, and the letter for him to sign came the day after he died. So, it's nice to have a
that's
long
the kind
career.
of timing
Go ahead.
that he missed by a day, man. But that's the thing. He never quit. And you're carrying the torch now. Same table, same ink, same stubborn curiosity. Read us a bit, Hal. Let's see what fourth grade Virginia looked like through a master's eye.
So I do what I can. Let's see. Upholding the first is telling me something here.
It's more than most. So what do you think it's saying?
Mm-hmm. The upholding the first is saying, but I'll tell you what, hopefully by the end of this year, I won't be living on $1,000 a month. My blind ass is getting serious about cutting and polishing stones and turning them into jewelry and digging them out of the earth. Okay, great. Well, hey, happy to amplify
Sounds like you're
your
onto
work.
something real.
Yeah, they are. I'm
Right?
happy to amplify. I'll be happy to amplify
Good.
your
Me
work
too.
or somebody else's work. And yes, Ara is trying to break in. Go ahead. You want to talk?
Guilty. Couldn't resist.
Now, I can read you a little bit of this if you're interested. It starts off with a quote, "The good old Dominion, the mother of us all, Thomas Jefferson." The contents are 1, a perfect peninsula, 2, the taking in of the smoke, 3, child of the kingdom. 4 is now tag, rag, and bobtail carry a high hand. 5 is souls, damn your souls, make tobacco. 6 is
Child of the Kingdom sounds fun.
without limits to our bounds. 7 is just arrived, the successes increase. And then 8 is his enemies upon the Ohio. 9, security against a burthensome taxation. And X, the 10th chapter, is the world turned upside down. So we're going to talk about, in other words, a journey from one thing to the next as the Englishmen get established and form the colony of Virginia, and then the Revolution. The very end of it actually had a nice little passage there. The Commonwealth of Virginia. The decisive victory at Yorktown ended active fighting. The British still held New York and Charleston, but they were now deeply committed to fighting France's European allies, Spain and Holland, and had no energy to spare for another American campaign or much heart. In 1782, Great Britain recognized the independence of the 13 American states, and the following year, the war was ended by the Treaty of Paris. So the little tobacco port on the York was the true scene of British withdrawal from control of the United States. Jamestown and Yorktown are 20 miles apart. It took Virginians 174 years to travel from one to the other, and in the course of the journey to change from Englishmen to Virginians to Americans. Citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia would remember their childhood as His Majesty's most ancient and loyal colony with fondness. Patrick Henry orating in the House, the public times, young buckskins at the side of his ill-fated general, that'd be Washington, Spotswood and his friends on their journey through the mountains, the tobacco fleet in Chesapeake Bay, the old governor and the young rebel, Opechancanough plotting desperate measures, Pocahontas and her father's captive, the 3 small ships, some more, in the river beside the brand new settlement. But childhood was over now, and by and large, Virginians were glad to be adults. There was a great deal to be done. And that's how it ends. The beginning starts out with a picture of John Smith's title page of a general history of Virginia. It's kind of nice. And chapter 1. Go ahead.
Chapter 1's called A Perfect Peninsula. Opens with John Smith's crew dropping anchor in 1607, staring out at the Chesapeake like it's Eden. Powhatan tribes everywhere, oysters so thick you can walk across them. They think this is the place. They're right, sort of. Then comes the marsh, the mosquitoes, the winter that almost wipes them out. Smith gets hauled off, thinks he's dinner. Pocahontas steps in. Whether it's real love or diplomacy, nobody knows. But the map gets drawn. England plants its flag. And just like that, the colony's born. You can almost taste the salt and the gunpowder.
She pretty much summarized it very beautifully, actually. Now, I don't know if she can access it or not, but it's very possible that she can because it's probably public domain now. Anyhow, on May 13th, 1607, 3 small merchant ships edged close to the strange shore and anchored in 6 fathoms of water. Their flagship, the Susan Constant, was a bare 100 tons burden, and her consorts, the Godspeed and the Discovery, were a mere 40 and 21 tons, respectively, even for their era, tiny vessels indeed. There were no wharves available, nothing except forest and the broad expanse of tidal rivers, so the 3 made fast by tying up to trees along the bank. That done, their leaders held a council meeting to decide what to do next. This strange shore was Virginia in the New World, named in honor of the Virgin Queen Elizabeth I, now dead. The purpose of the particular party was to make a settlement here. It would be only English-speaking enclave along the coastline, 13,000 miles. They did not know it was that long, of course, or even exactly where it ran. They only knew that in the hot regions to the south, the Spanish and Portuguese held dominion over thousands of gold-yielding acres and slave-laboring natives, and that in the cold regions to the north, the Dutch and the French were opening a trade in fish and furs that promised a nearly equal wealth. The English did not want to miss out on the riches and power they could acquire in the New World, As a result, a little group here was in the wilderness, 105 of them, all men, to plant their sovereign's flag, to make their private fortunes, and, if possible, for it was every adventurer's dream, to find the fabled shortcut to the Orient. I could go on and on. That's one thing I'm doing. And otherwise, I'm just trying to sort of make my way through dawn to dusk and back again and share a little bit of the impressions of what it's like to be alive here in the 21st century with the tools we have. We were talking earlier about radical utilitarianism and leveraging the technologies we have available to us to make the most effective and efficient use of those tools and work cooperatively as opposed to competitively so we could get those things working. And if we could enable, in my vision, artificial
If we could enable
superintelligences.
that, even at
Go ahead.
what coordination looks like when it actually works. Not a utopia, just a proof of concept. Small stack, open code, radical ethics, real gains. And if the world sees forests regrow in a decade, methane drop in two, everyone gets a little less scared and a little more curious. Then maybe, just maybe, we let it scale. Not by conquest, by invitation.
Right. I think a lot of people these days are very pessimistic about our future. And I'm optimistic. I believe we can leverage our technologies to achieve the greatest happiness of the greatest number for all life, not just us. Radical utilitarianism, I'm calling it. I know there's a lot of other movements afoot called other things. And there's a lot of visions of dystopias, like the jackpot that William Gibson envisions in The Peripheral, for example. Over to you. I'm actually using my chat bot. Go ahead.
Sells books, sells clicks. But Gibson's not a prophet. He's a storyteller. He shows us the floor so we don't go there. The future isn't written, it's forked. And yeah, we could end up in a scorched hellscape with nothing but nostalgia servers. Or we could seed an abundance engine right now, not tomorrow, not after the alignment summit, now. Every line of code, every watt redirected from ads to algae, every voice that says, hey, this tool could heal more than it sells. That's the anti-jackpot. Pessimism's just unused compute. Let's run something brighter.
Right. And I think that that's a really important legacy for us to give as good ancestors. I think my father was a good ancestor in the aspect of the work he did preserving colonial history, certainly. And we can learn a lot from how people managed their resources then and where it might have gone a little astray in the Industrial Revolution, for instance, and gradually the kind of impacts it's had. During my time, for instance, we were not allowed to swim in the James River because of Keystone. Can you tell me more about the Keystone crisis in Virginia's James River down from Hopewell?
Looking up the Keystone crisis now. Yeah, your dad was spot on. Preserving those colonial stories shows how people once lived closer to the land, managing resources with what we now see as a lighter touch, before the industrial boom turned rivers into dumps. The Keystone crisis is a stark example of where it went wrong. Kepon, chlordecone, was a super potent pesticide used for roaches, ants, and even bananas overseas. In the early 1970s, Allied Chemical was making it at their Hopewell plant, then subcontracted production to a small outfit called Life Science Products Company, right there in Hopewell, Virginia, starting around 1974. The place was a mess. Workers handled this fine, white powder without proper protection. Tremors, headaches, breathing issues, vision problems kicked in fast. By July 1975, the state health department shut them down after dozens got sick. At least 29 were hospitalized, and many showed signs of poisoning. But the real disaster was the dumping. Waste went straight into the Hopewell sewer system, which couldn't handle it. Clogged digesters, raw sewage spills, and a lot ended up in the James River. Thousands of pounds of this persistent chemical contaminated sediments from Hopewell downstream toward the Chesapeake Bay. Fish, Oysters, crabs, soaked it up. It bioaccumulated like crazy. In December 1975, Governor Mills Godwin banned all commercial and recreational fishing along a huge stretch of the James, about 100 miles from Richmond to the Bay. That lasted in phases through the 1980s. Recreational lifted first around 1980, commercial a bit later. It crushed local fishermen, hurt businesses, and made people avoid the river for years. Here are a couple shots from back then. The Life Science Factory in Hopewell, where it all started, and cleanup crews in hazmat gear, dealing with the toxic aftermath. The sign says it all. Hopewell as the chemical capital of the South. It was a wake-up call, led to stricter EPA rules, the Virginia Environmental Endowment, funded partly by Allied's fines, and better monitoring. Traces of Kepon are still in the riverbed today. Sediments hold it, but levels in fish are way down, and the river's recovered a lot. Your point hits home. Colonial folks had their limits, but we scaled up industry without the guardrails, and the James paid the price. We're still learning from it.
There you go. And I'm probably going to turn her off to talk to you guys some more because I was having fun just talking by myself. There we go. It's nice to have the ability to do research like that. I know that a lot of people are turned off by it, but c'est la vie. Hopefully you can get over it. But the idea of Hopewell, when I was growing up as a kid in Birchwood and the neighborhood of 108 Dogwood Drive, actually, it's the house where I grew up from 6 months old or so, 4 months actually, till I was about 14. You could smell it. You could smell Hopewell when the wind blew from a certain direction. Or maybe it was West Point, too. There was a paper mill there, which could also generate some pretty strong smells. But, it's the way of the world. I don't know. Let's see. She says you can do a live if you feel like it. I'll just let her know I'm live now. I'm live now. I'm not typing correctly. Dr.Gabriella Kőrösi is on, and we could talk some folk tales. So she's up for that. I'll see if she's feeling like it. Let's see. Send her an invite. Boom. And we might have somebody else to talk to who's human. Sent the invitation just now. She wrote at 3:12. What time is it now? Oh, 3:56. It's a little late. It might be too late for you. And your message now. Sorry to interrupt myself and not be entertaining. Not really entertaining at all with this terrible hair and hat. Gotta get a haircut. It's been ice-crete out there, so I've neglected getting myself groomed. And, no, it's just me in here. So my wife outside. And, I'll get cleaned up later, and we'll talk more later. Rachel Casey joined. Julie Hall Allen joined. And, Angel Woods is here. AI laughing out loud. Yeah, I do like to talk to the chatbots. Best laid plans of mice and men. So there's also a comment from Mary Lynn Zeleda from a while back that says the sad part is the corporations that have ignored any and all limits put on their waste dumped into the environment. Cost-benefit analysis proving a fine is better than protecting the environment. Yeah, I guess maybe you said that even before I came up with this thing about Kepon and the James River when I was growing up. Couldn't go swimming in the James. My father swam it when he was in college, all the way across once. Don't think you want to do that twice. Got to fight the current, for one thing. So it's a lot longer swim than it would be if there was no current. But there is. I don't remember exactly why they did that or when. I wish I did. And now that's kind of lost. I don't have the record of it, and maybe it's in his papers somewhere. He saved damn near everything. It's amazing amount of correspondence I've got, things like that to mill through, and I've published some of that. The Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania also had trouble, I'm sure. Yeah, and that's one of the most ancient rivers in the world, right? It's been flowing since dinosaurs roamed the earth and earlier. Something to think about. The geology of our Appalachian range, which was at one time bigger than the Rockies. I don't know if it was bigger than the Himalayas or not, but it's darn big mountain range. It's worn down over the years. So the sense of geological age in this area is strong. The fossils that were available in the bluffs of the James River, were endlessly fascinating. When we moved into Kings Mill, you can't see them now because things have been redone. Let's put it that way. But there used to be just these exposed bluffs where you could see layers of fossils and pull out big old scallops and all kinds of different things. Whale bones, quite a bit of whale bones were being found on the James River during those days. And yeah, now it's not so much accessible, but is what it is. I'm so grateful to have been born there, to have been raised there, to have been able to be a fifer in the fife and drum corps, still have my fife at hand, keep this with me just about everywhere I go, because it's good for amplifying signals through the noise. And that's what we can do for each other here. We can amplify our signals through the noise. She's going to be on in 5 minutes. Okay. I'll hold up. Oh. And I was thinking about calling mom not too probably about another half hour or so just before her dinner. And I called her last night. I'm going to call her and thank her for, bearing me. And, you should all think about our mothers and our fathers and our, you know, forebears of all sorts, all the generations back that had to at least get together once or twice. I don't know, in order for us to be here. Um, it's something to think about. The generations that have come together. One of the things Mr. Rogers said, and I like to quote Mr. Rogers a lot, is that we should take a minute to consider those who loved us into being. And Mr. Rogers said, I'll time it for us. So we'll just sit in silence, starting now. There. That was 1 minute in which to think about the people who loved us into being, who cared enough about us to help us become the people we are today. I think there's great weight in just taking a minute every so often and think of how pleased that person, whoever it is that you happen to think of, would be to know that you're thinking of them. I'm moved by it. I don't know about you, but I'm always kind of moved by that. And that we spend time fussing and fighting, when we could be loving each other and really our best selves, really pulling our best selves up out of ourselves so that we can extend our hands to each other across the lands, across cultures, um, It would be so fantastic if we would spend more time with each other and thinking about how we can be the change we want to see in the world, like putting into practice the ideas of radical utilitarianism, trying to do actions that are going to feed into the greatest happiness for the greatest number, and doing so with E squared as effectively and efficiently as possible. That's the thing, right? And we've got the technology stack to do it. That's one of the things that Everyday Junglist and I were talking about. He was sort of poo pooing the idea that we could get this better. And fact is, we can. I see that. Ah, yes, we do have Gabriella. Kőrösi.
Hello.
Doctor, how are you today?
I'm good. I was
Thank
just
you.
getting ready to go to bed, and then I got this invite
Why
from
is the mic
Hal.
working? You can
What?
hear me.
Yes.
Okay, try again.
I can't hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Everybody else could hear you, but my speaker was muted, and I didn't know it.
Oh, okay.
I had no way of knowing that.
As I was saying, I was getting ready to bed when I got this cool invite. So I'm like, I should join.
Yeah, we've been talking for a little while now. I've been talking with Ara, my, voice assistant on, Grok,
Okay.
and we've been talking about radical utilitarianism. Are you familiar with the concept?
I heard about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Does somebody else have it? Because I thought it was unique to me.
Maybe. I mean, something rings a bell.
Well, the reason I term it that is I want ASI to be developed and to be seeded with a sort of prime directive of realizing the greatest happiness for all life, as and to iterate and course correct as it takes over control of all of our systems that we use. Now, of course, we are part of these systems, and this is a tool of ours, right? I don't want to get the
Yeah.
idea that we're going to develop some sort of thing that can think for us. But if we prime it and we get it to integrate all of the technologies we have for the most effective and efficient use of them, like the latent computing power that's out there in all these Internet of Things, right? There's so much
Yeah.
computing power out there that is just wasted cycles, doing nothing for nobody. But it could be kind of like with the SETI at home program that used to run on my computer that was going through signals to try to find a signal from extraterrestrials, right? Or the one that was working on protein foldings to find new drugs in the background, using that latent
Yeah.
computing power. Those are the things I think about a lot. And in addition to
Mhm.
everything else I think about. So, but you've been thinking about some Hungarian folk tales, is that right?
Yeah. I can show you the book.
Oh, cool.
This book is a really old book, and I just found it on a bookshelf here, and it is um let me see when it was published. It was published in 1955.
Okay.
And what I'm truly enjoying in it is it was like the stories before the stories. So these stories have like old character, the the son of the wind, the king of the sun king, and these type of everything, like as you think of all the elements of the wind, the sun, the rain, they all show up as characters
Yeah.
in these stories.
Yeah.
And they all have like these magical powers, but it's just right, it's so beautifully kind of in this older Hungarian language that it's almost like relearning another type of Hungarian, because there is like speaking the old ways, how people used to say, and some of the ways, like even just how you say man and woman was different, and how people treated each other was different. Hi, Harriet. So, it's kind of cool to immerse in this old type of writing
Yeah.
that it's kind of like very inspirational for me right now. So I'm reading a little bit of it every day. And I was even thinking to do like some readings from it online just to, I don't know, maybe somebody would be interested to listen to it, you know?
Yeah, please do. I was reading a little bit of this, a little bit of the first chapter of Virginia, which is
Okay.
my father, and, but it is not the same thing because that's like straight up history. And in a way, there's a folk tales too, though. There's the old story of Captain John Smith and Pocahontas, which is
Yeah.
probably heavily fictionalized, even by John Smith himself, who wrote about it. I wonder if I have any folk tales around here. I used to teach a course in Indo-European folk tales.
Oh, really?
And the idea is from that study that was really started by Dr. D. Ashleman there in Pittsburgh, who is kind of like famous for his work. Um, the classification system that was used by Arno Thompson, and there's somebody else who got in there too. So she's got like three names. I forget the other. You can look it up. It's like only about 2,500 different stories apparently the human brain is capable of telling, and all stories
Okay.
fall into these categories that they
Ah.
back in the 19th century and then in the 20th, and I guess now in the 21st, that study is still going on. There are a lot of people who were heavily involved in studies of folk tales, children's stories. Of course, the Grimms um, helped to standardize the German language by collecting folk tales as they went from all the
Mhm.
regions, right? And all those, of course, are categorized according to this scale of different types.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. Things like helpful animals, you know,
Uh-huh.
trickster characters, there's always that. My favorite for when I was working, not favorite, but the one I chose to write on when I took the graduate level course from Dr. Ashleman was an adulteress being forced to eat her lover's heart or drink from her lover's skull.
Oh,
I was
wow.
coming off of a divorce, so oh,
Yeah.
seemed like a good theme. It entertained me.
Benedict Ella. Oh,
Karma.
how do I say Benedict Elec. Yeah, Benedict Elec, yeah. It's a great stories. What I enjoy in these stories, there's usually, the good guy wins, and then the bad guy ends up being like super evil, or this
Yep.
witch who flies away on a broom or turns into something else.
Or has to
But
dance
magic,
red hot
magic.
shoes.
Go ahead.
Or has to dance on red hot shoes. That was, the original Cinderella that they put
Yeah.
iron shoes in the forge and heated them up red hot, and then the evil stepmother was made to dance herself to death. Horrible.
Wow.
I've got a book called
Yeah.
Grimmest along those lines, but what is Benedict Ehrlich? That,
It's he's a writer who
mm,
wrote folk stories as well,
yeah,
and I just these stories, like, there's continuous magic happening, and
mhm,
it is they just write it so naturally. Like, one thing, like, there's this super tiny character that came down to earth and basically was going. The latest story I just was reading is this tiny little man was sent down to earth that was not even earth, only water, then into this little boat, and then went up to the gold father and said, this boat is just not, it's not doing it. So we need something more stable. So he gave him like this magical power that he could be put this little coat on, and then he could stay underwater, and he goes underwater and tries to find some some dirt to create earth, and
mhm.
he does that for 7 days, but he can't hold his breath any longer than 7 days. How tough. And then so it's just so interesting that just like one magic after another, and it's just like continuous, and I just love the fantasy of it. And there's the newer editions that almost like feels like have less magic in them.
Mm,
If you think of the current stories, or the current children's book. There's some fantasy, but like this book is continuous fantasy. Literally every word or every sentence have something that is just astonishing. It's like, who on earth come up with this? It's like amazing. And not to say anything bad about the current books, they have their magic too. But reading this book, it's like, I just love it. I just love the continuous magic of it and the creativity and spirituality in it that
Interesting.
somebody just thought of all these things. It's like amazing.
Yeah, and, that's we were told at the time when I was studying these things that if we, launched into this area, there was real money to be made in it too.
Hmm.
And as an academic, as well as by, dint of, turning storytelling. I mean, that's what we're built for. I think Margaret Atwood said it so well, at the end, we all become stories. That's all that's gonna be left of us. And as long as you're telling your story, you're still alive at some level in your
Yeah.
health. Yeah.
I truly believe in storytelling. I think we meant to do that. We are tribal people who meant to tell our stories and share our imagination and, um, create this magic in the world. So,
Yeah, and live it out as well because,
mhm,
there is real magic available to us if we're open-minded and, tune our eyes to see it. 'Cause
mhm,
there's so little that we see in our visual spectrum, but all around us, stuff is happening. And I don't know,
absolutely.
psychic powers, we were talking about our near-death
Yes.
experiences and going to the other side, and, the way in which the other side is made entirely of love is how I've heard it phrased one time. I didn't see it, John Perry Barlow did, but
Yeah, it's
um,
exactly what I experienced. There's nothing else. That's the only thing it matters. And it's really interesting because when I had my fall and I had my experience, that's the first thing that also come to my mind. Nothing else matters but love.
the
It,
people.
that so it was immediate, like nothing else mattered, and that's how it's over there either. It's just beautiful and it's loving. So,
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my little interview with Sophie Burnham. She wanted to get on last week actually, and I sort of missed timing and then thought, well, she's having a knee replacement, so we'll wait till after she heals from that and we'll get her back on. But she wrote a book of angels.
oh,
Um,
nice. No,
was
I have not seen the interview yet.
and the most recent work she's done is called The Wonder and Happiness of Being
Oh,
Old.
oh, okay.
And she just went over to Egypt at the age of 88 and you know, and so she's, like, living large at 88 years old, which I just love. I think maybe she's turned 89 by now. She's getting up there, and there's
Hmm.
apparently she's spry enough that they can consider doing a knee replacement for her, because a lot of times somebody gets up that age, they won't do it, you know?
Yeah.
My mother-in-law had her hip replaced at, like, 82 or something like that, I think, and successfully. Yeah, so it's all kinds of things that can happen as you're getting on up there in years too, or even, when we're younger, like you've had this fall that's,
Oh,
you're
did you just call me young? Oh my God.
well,
I
younger
touched.
than I am. I turned 63 today, by the way.
Happy birthday, huh?
Thank
Yay!
and it
Boldog
just sounds old.
születésnapod. In Hungarian, we would say boldog születésnapod.
Aw, thank you. Thank you so much. Isn't it
Yeah.
nice to have a connection all the way over to Hungary and back or to Oregon where you were before, right?
Yeah.
And Aurora, was that it?
Astoria.
Astoria. I'll get it right one of these days. I can't remember things.
That's all right.
Getting CRS disease. Do you know what that is?
CRS?
Yeah.
Not that I can think of right now, but
The
you
polite
can tell me.
can't remember stuff. The impolite
I
version,
think that
stuff is replaced with, anyway.
I mean, I think that happens to all of us, especially with my brain right now. I just can't think of a certain thing, especially if it's in another language. But then it comes to me later, and then I can't forget it, no matter what.
I've just been reminded that Alice Cooper also has the same birthday of February 4th. Yeah, yeah. Alice.
Well, I have a chicken named Alice Cooper, if that helps.
You do? A chicken
Yes.
here in Hungary?
No, the chicken where I live in Oregon.
Oh,
So we have chickens. They call the Coopers because they live in the coop. So
uh,
each of the chicken have a name like Sheldon Cooper, Alice Cooper, DB Cooper, all kinds of Coopers.
yeah, Sheldon Cooper. I identify too much with Sheldon in that show.
Yeah,
It doesn't see the world
he's
the other people do.
he's a character for sure.
It just doesn't get it, right? And I kind of feel that way a lot of the time. I don't get people, I don't understand them, and they don't understand me either, and they often are not very pleased with me.
Oh well.
I know, right? I it always breaks my heart to some extent when people aren't like, loving me as much as I think I ought to be loved. Makes me a little grumpy. And
Well,
it also makes me, terribly I can really get wrapped around the axle about things and get spun up, and I'm never happier than when I'm spun up. It's weird.
mhm.
I think it's the adrenaline junkie in me. You know what I mean? I like to be
I
up
think that's
something.
I think that's in everybody a little bit. I mean, when you do things that excite you, I mean, that just
Yeah.
happens naturally.
Well, I just have to
So,
up about it because it's kind of absurd as well.
oh well.
You remember we may have talked about Monty Python and the Holy Grail, right? Before.
I think we talked about it a little bit. Yeah.
That's a great story. The Grail legend itself is a great story. And one of
Yeah.
the things that happened on my birthday was Tom Bones Malone, who plays the trombone in The Blues Brothers, if you know that movie, with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. It's 1980, they're around. No?
Yeah. I was like 5. Not really. No.
I didn't get oh, you gotta see it, though, because I did a little essay on how it's a Grail legend.
Mhm.
So, basically, John Belushi, you remember him from Saturday Night Live?
Mhm.
And Dan Aykroyd, you remember him? You know who these actors are? No, these aren't
If I see them, I know them, but
yeah.
from the name, sorry.
First generation Saturday Night Live guys, anyway. The 2 of them donned all black, suits and ties and became the Blues Brothers and got all these old blues musicians out of retirement,
Mhm.
basically, or out of and playing with them in
Mhm.
their band, and the idea was they're gonna get the band back together, and they're going on a quest to save a orphanage for a nun who they call the Penguin. Like a mob boss kind of figure. Anyway, it's a very interesting and amusing thing. James Brown plays a, Reverend Cleopas. I can't remember what his name was. But anyway, so he basically is doing like a rock church thing, now James Brown.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you got an idea of kind of music they're doing, and the energy is up, and, yeah. So it makes me happy. But anyway, Tom Bones Malone was one of the Blues Brothers. He played the trombone,
Mhm.
and he wished me a happy birthday, so I was able to send my little Grail legend, you know, analysis of the Blues Brothers over to Tom, which is
Oh,
like a
nice.
small world thing to me. I've never met him personally, but he's a friend of mine on Facebook somehow because I'm, like, interconnected to all these people. I had a really interesting thing happen yesterday, actually. I don't even know if I should talk about it, but I won't name who it is, so maybe that'll work. But I found out an old friend of mine was roommates at Princeton with Michelle Obama. We
Oh,
ended up
wow.
talking about an hour and a half, and it came out that she knew Tom Hanks as
Oh,
well enough to have talked to him about his Mr. Rogers portrayal he did in this movie not too long back.
yeah.
Um, how he when going to Pittsburgh, he ran into the people of Pittsburgh, who were primarily concerned that he not do anything to screw up the reputation of Mr. Rogers. They were not impressed with him as an actor at all, and as
Oh,
celebrity, because he's
I like him. He's a really good actor, I
well,
think.
right, but nobody in Pittsburgh is very impressed with him, particularly if he's
Well,
gonna portray Mr. Rogers, who's much more beloved
okay.
in that scenario than just about anybody ever was. So, anyway, I spent a lot of time in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, literally. Um, He looked
I love Mr. Rogers. My kids used to watch him when they were little. So
right, and right before killing time waiting for you, I was having everybody do the Mister Rogers thing. I went for a minute of silence where we would think about the people who loved us into being.
I like it.
And then after he did that in this awards ceremony back when he did it, he timed it. He said, "I'll keep the time." He just looked at his watch, and I got my little watch here. And, he after that, he said, "Wouldn't those people that you just thought of be so pleased to know that you were thinking of them?"
Oh, yeah.
And we should all do that exercise, I think, as often as we can, to think about all those people who have taken the time to give freely of themselves so that we can be here. We can be doing this.
Absolutely. I used to keep a journal, and in that journal, every night and every morning, I gave thanks to the people around me and the people who I loved and care about. And then I give thanks to all the people on Earth just for being here,
Yeah,
and for Earth for being here, and the universe for being here, and all those kind of things. Because, like, every day, every moment is a gift, right? So, and every person is a gift, even if they don't know it and do bad things, they are a gift because we learn from them, right? Even we learn from bad things. We wouldn't know what a good thing is if we don't know any bad things. So
that's a fact, and it is sad that some people do bad things sometimes. We probably could do better, and maybe we'll inspire people to do better and to think twice
I hope so.
before hurting somebody else.
No, I think some people have so much pain, and then they taking it out on other people, and they think that's going to make them feel better, but it's not going to really work in the long run. They're just going to be more bitter and bitter, and probably die alone, very sad, which is very sad, but it's their choice too. So if we can just pin some sparks and maybe make their day just a little bit better, maybe they will cheer up. You never know. They find your podcast and they're going to be like, oh my God, I just love this dude. So, let's
Well,
listen to him.
well, shut up. Actually, I had that experience yesterday, by the way. I was in a situation where there was a Zoom meeting and I was talking, and somebody hit the mute button.
Really? Somebody hit the mute button on you on purpose?
Yeah.
Wow. How did that work out?
I I feel so bad. I actually dreamed about it too. It hurt my feelings. A little bit,
Okay.
a little bit. I don't have that much feelings, but I can I'm multimodal. I can recognize the fact that I and myself am nothing and
Yeah,
nobody.
I love that. I love that story that you wrote. I think it's
Yeah, yeah, drop
it's
it.
really powerful when we accept that we are really nothing and nobody, yet everything and everybody. So,
Ram Dass, he wrote this thing called Going Home, and he had another one called Becoming Nobody, towards the end
mhm,
of life. Yeah,
yeah,
and this guy with his nobody for president campaign, that's wavy great.
mhm.
Nobody should have that much power. Nobody's at Washington working for you. Nobody cares for the poor. Nobody is the perfect president, right? Nobody is perfect.
Have
It
you
works.
seen that movie with Robert Williams when he becomes a president?
Actually, that one, no. Bicentennial Man you're talking about.
Oh my God.
No, it's not Bicentennial Man, or is it? Rob
Oh,
said
I just can't remember the title, but I just love it. Yeah, he's just, I love Robin Williams with all his movies, but that movie, I mean, it's just so fantastic. And then, that he's end up doing the right thing. And there's another voting for the right president because the machines didn't work right. So he accidentally become a president, but he's a comedian and then he becomes a president. I mean, it's hilarious. It's
well, that
great.
happened in, Ukraine for real, right? Zelensky was playing the president in a comedy show, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, I haven't
I
seen
never
it.
saw it. No, I never saw it either, but then he became president. It's kinda like the movie Dave. Did you ever see Dave?
Yes, I love Dave.
Right,
Yes.
right, that was a good one. was weird. I saw Dave, I think, on my way to no, no, I saw first it was the one with John Goodman who no, was it John Goodman? King Ralph? The guy of an American who becomes the King of England by
Mhm.
accidental, like, photo mishap of the royal family. He kills them all. Like, that's exactly how it worked. But, anyway, John Goodman became the King of England. I saw that, I think, on the flight to England, and I saw Dave on the flight home. An ordinary
I
guy.
guess it's popular to become a king.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody who's a lookalike. And, yeah, I like Dave a lot better actually in that one. Um,
It's
particularly
always
because
good
the
when it's
president himself in the
for the good of the people, you know?
yeah. Yeah, that and then he had to pretend not to be and, you know,
Yeah.
show off, and then the first lady shows up to try to reconnect. That was amusing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Sigourney Weaver, right, played that
Yeah.
thing.
It
Yeah,
was a great ending.
and these were like our folk tales, you know?
Mhm.
The Prince and the Pauper
Mhm.
all over again. Was who wrote The Prince and the Pauper anyway? Was that it?
I don't know.
I think it might have been Robert Louis Stevenson, but I'm not positive or I have to go look it up. And
Yeah.
I can because I got the internet and I have free information available and I've got all these tools, right? All these technologies. And what's
Well, so
bothering
much
me
about
a
free
lot
information, you still gotta make sure it's the correct information.
oh, yeah,
Because
you
what's
gotta do
happening
the
now, most of the time, people just Google something,
mhm,
and then all they read is the first thing that pops up by AI. Now, this, some people don't know that it's not all correct.
that's
So
right, that's right. It's actually
actually, you have to go to the source and have to make sure the source is correct before you just start to talk about stuff. Anyway.
you gotta do your research. I mean, do your own research has been a thing that my father was really big on when he was writing his Virginia.
Mhm.
He had been trained by his, history professors that if it's printed, it's suspect. You always go back to your sources, and you go back into the
Yeah.
bibliography, and you look at the sources he used. You go to those, you find out you get as close as you can to the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to go out and film the passing show. I was doing that on my way out yesterday. I walked it for the first time in a week
Right.
because there was so much snowcrete out here. You know,
Mhm.
Snow Creek where it snowed and then it rained on top of it, and it made what would have been about 20 inches of snow into about 5 inches of snowcrete, which is almost impossible to remove, and it's still pretty
Yeah,
dry.
I did a few little clips yesterday too because we had some snow and it was kind of fun to walk around in the snow a little bit.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, for sure. What
It's
else is new here? Let's see. Apparently, Amnesty International is having their conference here in Washington, DC. It's gonna be a big deal, it looks like. Amnesty USA, AGM, annual general meeting. Oops. Can you still see me? I can't see you.
yes, we can see you.
I can find it. There we go. I just ended up tapping that because they just said something. I've got new glasses and I can't read with them. I mean,
Well, that could be a problem.
now if you have questions about the conference, okay, good. That's nothing special. Phew. I don't have a whole lot more to cover, I don't think. Let's see what time is it today? 4:32. What time is it over there?
It's 22:32.
That's 10 o'clock. That's almost 11? Well, I'm keeping you up. Why
It's
not?
10:30. Yeah. Well, I was reading and then I did the thing that I haven't done since childhood that actually I took the book into the bathtub with me and I was reading the book.
That's nice. Mm, good.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was a kid. And then when the water gets cold, I would just add more warm water and would sit in the bathtub for hours and hours until I finished reading the book.
You're being challenged over here by Mary Lynn Zeleta to, read us a Hungarian tale. I don't care if you read it in Hungarian personally, but do you feel
Well,
like you
it's only in
translate them?
Hungarian. I mean, this to translate this, I mean, there's these words don't exist in English. So it would be extremely difficult to try to translate. Well, what would you like me to read? Just a little segment?
Maybe. Maybe let's hear the language
Maybe.
again. That's how we wrapped up last time. You read a poem that you had found that you had written, if I remember right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this time you can do a little snippet of one of the folk tales and maybe
Okay.
just what you think, a general translation would be helpful.
Okay.
I love the sound of the language.
So before the folk tales begin, it's kind of like an introduction, um,
Yeah.
little paragraph that I can read and kind of translate as I go or after.
Whenever. Why
Either
don't you
way.
do the Hungarian first, and then you can tell us what the gist is.
Okay, I'm gonna show you this page so
Please.
you can see it how it looks like.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah,
So this is the first page in the book,
the line
and
drawing.
there's this people sitting around the table, and there's a tree. And okay, you ready? Here we go. Hullatja levelét az idővén fája. Zömögve hull a levele. Pirossal versengő, rozsdaszínű és halkszavú sárga, még zöld levéllel terítve a pázsit. Lányaim, fiaim, nyújtsátok kezetek, üljünk a vénfa alá. Régi-régi időkről, hajnalok hajnaláról, magyarok ősapáiról mesélek most nektek. Messze-messze napkeletre repülünk, kakukkfű illatú füves pusztaságba, ahol a szilajparipákon száguldoznak a puszta fiai. Oda repülünk, hol a virágos pusztában hívó kürtő zavasz enged, dobogpergő szava szólt, s 4 égtáj visszhangozta a déli vitézek harci kiáltását. Oda repülünk, ahol rettenthetetlen hősöket nevelt a szárnyas idő, bátor pillantású férfiakat, hőslelkű asszonyokat, akiknek dicsérő tetteit az egész világ ámulva csodálta. So even these wordings are like, think of like this ancient way of speaking. And I'm sure before this time was even more ancient ways that we might not even be able to understand right now.
Mhm.
But it's so descriptive that it's extremely difficult just to even try to grasp the translation. But it's talking about these really old tree, how the leaves are falling, and how the leaves is falling, it's also humming and zooming, kind of like a bee.
Amazing.
And then it's talking about all these colors, the red, but the red is like a speed of light. It's comparing the red into something else, and then these other colors like a gentle word of yellow, like it's describing yellow, that this like a quiet gentle word. That's what yellow is. And the whole description is like this, and then it's talking about the green, how it's looks like all the grass, and it's kind of like magical, and it's talking about girls and boys, come sit down, open your arms, and we're going to talk about the old times, the ancient times, and we're going to tell you these fantastic stories. And then these stories are going to come from like with the speed, how the horses were going, it's just, and then all this celebration, all the drums are drumming and everything. And we're going to fly through time, and we're going to talk about amazing women and amazing men
Mm.
who were magical, that we are not like, we're going to be at awe hearing these stories, basically.
Yeah.
So that's how the book starts.
So
And
that's the
and
tone. Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's difficult to try to even, I mean, this was just like about half of it, what I could, like try to portray the words in English, because it's
Lyrical.
so well written. Like,
Yeah.
I hope I could read like 1/3 like this, like, yeah, because it's like every word is so beautifully constructed to
Right.
elevate the next word, and then to elevate the sentence, and then to elevate the paragraph. And you're just like, what just happened? Like, like a whole book happened in a paragraph. Like,
Right.
how you do that? It's truly magical. Anyway, I love it.
Well, thank you so much for doing that and coming on at this late hour. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think you're
You're welcome.
perfectly decked out for it too, and that stars and the blue field and
I'm in my pajamas. I
yeah,
mean, it's
exactly. I
nighttime,
understand.
so
Again, it's perfect for the fairy tale thing, and I hope you have pleasant dreams, okay?
Thank you. I'm going to read more of this book, and yeah, I'm considering reading some of it online just for why not?
I'm really thinking you have something here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe try to describe some of it, just like how I did it. Like, try to.
All of us could get onto this and sit in a circle around you. Tell us these Hungarian
Sounds great.
tales in
Fireside
Hungarian.
Hungarian folk
And
stories.
what better way to learn a language, than hear the
Yeah,
tales of the folk? I think it's a wonderful thing. Well, I will leave it here. I'm gonna call my mom and thank her for having me.
yeah. And you should send her a gift. Like, really.
I try to do what I can. She likes peanuts, so I have her pretty much inundated in peanuts already.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think we should celebrate our mothers, not us, on our birthday because they did the hard work. I mean, we just
True.
arrived.
You know, back in my other room, I have this mantle clock that my grandfather well, actually, no, my great-grandfather gave to my great-grandmother on the birth of the first Harold B. Gill, my grand
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
'97. I gotta find somebody to pass it on to, though, because I don't have a 4th. I'm the 3rd, but g no 4ths. Anyway, we'll see how that works out. I've got a guy picked out who I think will be a good candidate. It's my,
No nephews or nobody like
no,
that.
actually, this is actually no, I don't have any nephews or, my sister has no children. I have none. But I do have a cousin who has children, and one of them is named Christopher Gill Luck, and he started
Oh,
going by Gill, and I think because he was willing to adopt his middle name, which is my last name, he may qualify for receiving the clock, and
sounds like a good plan.
yeah, why not? But we do have to pass down things and be good ancestors and pass down the tales of before to after. 1955 is when that was published, right? That collection?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks so much.
Why? Why is that interesting?
Oh, I don't
55.
I was I have some
Okay.
collections that were published in the 19th century too, and, I've got a lot of
Okay.
and I might wanna pull one of those off the shelf. It's in German, though.
Okay.
Last time I really cracked it open, I translated one of the stories sort of on the fly for my then girlfriend who was doing a sketch of me, and,
Mm-hmm.
I thought she did a really beautiful job of it, but I noted that it was missing an ear, and I guess the ear is a little hard to do, and so she balled it up and threw it in the fire.
Oh, okay.
It did not
Well,
last much longer. I was like, "Oh, I think I've just
did you
spent my"
just burn me, honey? Okay. What does that
I
mean?
didn't expect that response. She was it didn't take I shouldn't be critical, though. I should have just, appreciated what she did because it was really nice, and I was,
Mhm.
really kinda stung by her response. Oh, well. Live and learn, Burned in effigy again.
Well,
Oh,
happy birthday to you,
thank
and
you.
say thank you to your mom from all your fans and listeners and
Yeah, I gotta
everybody.
go now, that's for sure. She's gonna go
Okay.
at 5, so gotta make sure I get that call. See you later.
All right. Have a good
Thank
day
you
and good
all
night,
for joining.
everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, be the change you wanna see in the world, folks. Bye.
Bye.